What's up, guys? It's Joe doing Photoshop Challenge 3, doing an iconic figure from history, preferably a dead one. Um, I'm doing Marilyn Monroe, and we're going to stick her on some vintage paper and kind of blend her in and kind of get a cool vintage effect. So we're going to start by opening up our paper here. This is what I'm using for this one. And then we're going to add our girl Marilyn. I always just thought Marilyn Monroe was a really cool kind of iconic figure in cinema history. So I thought she'd be really cool. I also loved that this picture did have just a little bit of color to it because I think that really pops out even on the vintage paper. So I thought that'd be really cool to do. Um, so we're gonna blend it in and do that. All right. So we're gonna shrink her down just a little bit and kind of move her just so. Still want to get that effect of her kind of popping into the paper though. Using our transform tool that we can use right as we put a picture in, we can kind of shrink it, grow it, do what we need to do with it. Okay, that's fine. Um, there are a couple ways to get her to blend into the paper, and I'm gonna show you a couple of them. But first, we want to get Marilyn just by herself, get rid of this white background. Not really necessary, and it will kind of make it difficult to actually blend her in later. So what we're gonna do is show you a couple ways to do that. There's the magic wand tool, which kind of just overall will select an image, and then you can alt to get rid of certain parts of it, or shift to add certain parts back. See how it has, like right now, the outer edge here? Well, we don't really need that, so we're going to try and just get Marilyn by herself. So we're going to do that. This works better when you have an image with like a lot of defined lines. Like she kind of blends in a little bit into the picture, so we might end up doing a different tool if this is not exactly what we want it to look like. Give me one sec. Actually, that was pretty good. I'm undoing just by doing Control Z. You can also redo by doing Control Shift Z. Bring back certain things into it. I just want to take a quick look at what this looks like. So I'm going to right click and do layer via copy. Actually, oh, kind of did this outline effect, which is not really what I wanted. So we're just going to start over, and I'm actually going to use the magnetic lasso tool to just get an easier outline of her, since she kind of blends in with this white background. Make sure I get all of her hair. It's fine if a little bit goes away, because that's kind of the point of the picture too, is that she kind of blends into the background with her blonde hair, but we want to get most of it. So what we can do, if you're using the magnetic lasso tool or any lasso tool, it'll make different checkpoints. You can hit backspace to go back, and then left click to add your own manual ones. If you're trying to get like certain things to stay in the picture, like we're doing with her hair right now. Hair can be a little tricky, I've noticed, because it tends to just blend in. You're not always going to get that perfect edge on it. So sometimes you may have to fudge it a little bit to get that effect. Double click to select our selection. Get rid of this actually. Delete that layer. Right click in it. We don't need that layer. We do like this selection though. So we're going to keep this. Layer via copy. And that should make Marilyn pop out really well. Gets rid of the background. And then we can blend her in by right clicking blending options. Oh, I do want to show you guys. If you just left click, you'll get that background back, but we don't need it. We can probably just actually delete this layer completely because we no longer need that background. So it simplifies our project a little bit. And we're going to go to right click on the layer and hit blending options. From here, we can go to blend mode. We're going to choose multiply because that makes her kind of sink into sync into the actual photo. I'm going to go back to Move Tool. I actually want to move her down a little bit. And I have a reason for having her. I'm actually okay with this because I'm going to sync, kind of put my logo right here, have it kind of come off of her shoulder a bit. So yeah, I really liked this effect of her lip still kind of popping out. If we go back to blending options here, you can change kind of the opacity of how prominent she is. Kind of blending her in or not. You can add different color channels or have them pop out more. Basically doing that, and then you can do different stuff like. So. Don't need any of that for this because we're just making her blend into the vintage paper. That's what we're going for. One thing you can do is you can add a shadow to her if you want. And that will kind of make her give it like a little 3D shadowing effect. If you want to do that, I actually might do that for this one. We're gonna make it like a little more subtle than that. It doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. So now we have Marilyn here. She's popping off the paper a little bit. She has a little bit of a shadow to give her that 3D effect. Okay. So now I want to add my logo, which is something I made outside of Photoshop. It is just a hand-drawn, simple logo. We're just going to rotate it around. To do that, you can edit, transform, rotate. 90 degrees, there we go. Okay, we need to shrink it down from here, so we're going to go back to transform, which is under edit, scale, shrink it down. That's fine. Yeah, you can also just rotate things by doing that. I just felt like doing it by hand. But yeah, it's pretty easy to just kind of rotate things that way. From here, we're going to put it like around there. Gonna have it go out of her. From here, we actually still have a paper, like how we had that background from Marilyn herself. We have this paper background from where I drew the picture. So we're gonna use our zoom tool real quick. I'm gonna leave that where it is. Zoom tool, zoom in to this logo bit because I want to edit the logo specifically. That's fine. I can work with that. So from here, we could try and use the magic wand tool again to kind of select around the logo, but that might be a little difficult. See if we can get it real quick. So you can do like each individual letter if you want. That's like one way to do it. So you can do like this. Oops. But there is the risk that it'll kind of still pop the entire picture because it kind of blends into the white. So we will probably just end up using the lasso tool again because this is hard to do by hand with the magic wand tool. Oh, we might have got it here actually. Yep, looking pretty good actually. We're gonna use the magic wand tool. And then from here we can layer via copy. Nope, that will not work. Get rid of that one. Okay. Going to select the inverse. And we should be able to just delete the inverse. Select inverse. This may not work as well as I want it to. So what we may do is use our magnetic lasso tool if I cannot get that to work. So we're going to just start over real quick. So from here, we can just do this and just kind of sketch around here. Easier way to select it. But I did want to show off the magic wand tool because it actually is super useful, especially when you have color photos and you just want to get one object, like say a person or an animal or whatever. Super easy to do that. Whoops. Uh-oh. Put those back. I liked what I was doing. Put all these things back in there. Just clicking along the way. Yeah, this is definitely where the magic wand tool can be in your favor when it does work, because it saves you a lot of time from having to hand trace these objects. See how we just got the M? I'm going to add to that by holding shift and selecting another object. You can kind of keep going by just holding shift. That'll keep adding additional stuff. You'll see there's a little plus sign next to the lasso tool. You do not have to hold shift the whole time you're doing that, but just pressing it so it knows, hey, add a thing. And then basically moving on to the next object. Press shift, moves to the next object. Double click, press shift, it'll know. Go back. There we go. Press shift, start clicking, then you can take your hand off of that. Press shift again, start again. Every single letter. And you have to hit shift for each individual object you're adding in, otherwise it won't know you're doing one whole selection. But we want to keep this as one selection because the logo is its own thing. Add the N in, and we are good to go on this. From here, all right, so we have everything selected for the logo. So what we actually want to do is, now that we have a selection, we want to fill it. We need to add in some paint to it. We're also trying to get it by itself. So we want to see if that works. Yeah, that'll work. So we have it by itself in its own layer. We right clicked it and hit new layer on it right here. So now what we're going to do, I actually missed a little bit of that, which is right here. So we're going to do shift real quick, add that in, inside of the A. The inside of the A. That's it. There we go. It does not want to go. So I might actually keep that out, just for the sake of simplicity for this. And moving on, we're going to actually, make a new layer of that. This. I'm going to delete this one, actually. we can fix it from here. Delete this layer here. Not duplicate. Delete. All the way up there. We're back to this real quick. Alrighty. Alright, so new layer. Create that. That should have the outline there. What you can do from here is you can right click on that selection you made and we can fill it with color. We're going to do that. I kind of like that the red on the lipstick is prominent, so I'm actually going to have it also be red. And then you can just see that logo popping up there. So that way we have a matching color. From here, I actually kind of want to move this just a little bit. Like that. And I would like to add a frame. So we're going to go ahead and do that as well by using our rectangular marquee tool and adding a new layer on top. New layer is down here. Go ahead and do that. Oops. We're just going to do this. Make it nice and thin. They don't need a super prominent border around it. We're going to have something. Cool. Alright, from here, just going to do right click, select inverse. Right now it was highlighting in the middle, but we hit inverse, so it's just highlighting around the outside of it now. And we're going to actually fill that as well. I kind of want to make it like a brown almost. Color libraries. Yeah. Use something like a darker brown. Kind of fill that out. One last detail I want to do is add a little bit of an effect to this selection here. I want to add a stroke effect. We're just going to make it dark black, you know. 3 pixels should be fine. Make it like just a little bit thicker than normal. That should give it. Oh, that does the background. What I want to do. That's fine too, actually. Just add it to this. So we're going to do that as well. Blending options. You can go to stroke here and do the same thing. Oops. I did do it, but that's not how I wanted to do it. Stroke. 3 pixels is fine. Black. And then that'll add like a thick outline to your logo. I'm going to go move it a little bit so it lines up a bit better with where I want it to be. And we have Marilyn Monroe with a nice little logo. She's blended into the background here. I put a little drop shadow there, added a border, put a stroke to that as well. So yeah, just Marilyn with her logo. Now that we're done with this, we need to go ahead and save it as a PSD and as a JPEG for the project. So go ahead and do that. We're just going to call it Maryland. That's fine. And save as a JPEG as well. Alrighty, guys. That's all I had for you in this Photoshop Challenge 3. I will see you in the next one.